on the week. And this is the month where we talk about money. Ironically, it is June where Kenyans were filing taxes. So I hope you have all filed your taxes. I got a very interesting message from Kerry today, but it is well. So we're talking about finance that fuels growth. And last week we talked about simple budgeting for your outreach, where your outreach was an activity that you took part in that would give you publicity and visibility and help you sell. So if you jumped in as well as we're having our conversation with Dorothy, we were talking about how many of us have gone for activations, and in view of what we learned last week, what have we adjusted? And so today we're moving on in the conversation, and today we'll be talking about pricing. Pricing is a big conversation for most of us because at the end of the day, many of us are wondering whether is it worth it to be in business. And very often that question comes because we have probably not priced as well as we should have. And so then we are not getting what we need to get back to be viable. So with all those questions in our heads, in our minds, and in our hearts, let us jump into the conversation. And today, what we want to discuss is simply making pricing look actionable. This is what we're discussing when many of us logged in, just reviewing what we learned last week and seeing how it has played out. So remember, our theme for this month is know your numbers, grow with intention. Many of us are saying, oh, why aren't I growing? But we don't have accurate numbers to be growing towards. So we'll be looking at pricing. Does your pricing reflect your value and sustainability? We shall talk through pricing models and maybe some basic frameworks. And the end result is when you go back to wherever it is you go back to, you will review your pricing and see whether it meets what you're looking for it to meet or whether you need to adjust. But let's start with why discussing pricing is important. Different businesses price differently, all right? And some charge too little because of fear of losing customers. Some just copy their competitors without understanding, or you increase prices based on emotion. I have had this price for 5 years. Let me just add my price. Remember, in the earlier part of this year, we kept saying data is important. So do you have the data to back up your decision to change your prices? And really, many of us work harder, sell more, and still struggle to generate healthy profits. Remember, when you go into business, your intention is to make profit. Please understand me that profit is more than just profit is not how you pay yourself. You are an employee of the whatever it is you're doing, so you should have your salary line. Profit is what is left after all expenses have been paid. And profit is how we grow. So if we want to scale, if we want to expand, profit needs to be the place that we look at. All right. So pricing is one of the most powerful decisions you can make as a business owner because it affects everything. It affects how people perceive you, whether you're sustainable, your positioning, your profitability, whether your revenue is actually coming in. And you see, we can survive poor marketing, but we cannot recover from a poor sale. So in this case, a poor event is a poor sale. It's poor pricing. It's that we're moving so much product. Our production costs are high. The factory is running. However, we are left with nothing in our pockets. So poor pricing will damage all our businesses. And pricing is not guesswork. Remember, we said some of us look around at what people are doing, then we do the same. Pricing is neither is it copying our competitors because they may have secret processes or trade secrets that enable them to keep their pricing there. You're just using flat market metrics. It also is not charging what feels fair or choosing the lowest price. Now, let me tell you about low pricing. Low pricing may attract people at the beginning, but it may also attract the wrong customer to you. Remember when we always talked about our customers, we said we must know them so intimately that when we hear them speak, we can see them. We also, in our study of our customers, we figure out what's valuable to them, how much they can actually afford, and what they are willing and able to pay for. So many times we go into spaces with very low pricing, and then we are like, why isn't it working? Because we're competing with the other person who has bottom of the barrel prices. It's also not adding random markups. Remember, we said we need data. It is not a one-time decision, and it cannot, surely it must not be a reaction. If your pricing isn't working, stop and think. Ask yourself a heck lot of questions, because it is the process of determining the value of the exchange between you as the business and your customer. It is also the amount your customer is willing and able to pay for the value they receive. We always talk about in this space, where do Rolls-Royce uh, do the advertising? Where do you see their products? It is right next to people and other products that are of a similar lifestyle value. Let me put it differently. In Kenya, we have the Kadogo economy, which is really the small packages. You can get almost anything in 20 grams if you go into our lower income segments, but you cannot get them in what is perceived to be upper income segments. So I'll use my hood as an example. I live in Syokimau. Um, if I go to Mlolongo, which is less than 3 kilometers from me, I can actually get stuff of the Kadogo economy. Even the supermarkets will be carrying smaller packages than where I normally shop, which is on Mombasa Road. Why? They have predetermined that the people coming into this particular supermarket have are looking for a certain packaging size. So you will not find like the Blue Band 250 gram in the Naivas near us, but if you go to the Quick Mart or to the other supermarkets in Mlolongo, it is there, front and center. Here they push, in fact, even they push more the half kilo and the 1 kilo. That's really what they push. What have they done? They have segmented us based on what they know we're willing and able to pay for. And that's what they bring to us. So you won't find the soy sauce sachets for refilling here, but you'll find them in another supermarket. Why? They have predetermined for us the size of bottle that the community has continued to buy. So pricing is how you generate your revenue and profitability. It affects your positioning, customer perception, and your sustainability, because then you're able to meet your costs and keep your lights on and your shop open. So it answers the question, what price allows my business to deliver value and remain sustainable? Remember, the value is determined by your customer. They are already there. They're already telling you what they are willing and able to pay for. And your role is to connect and respond to that. All right. So when you're in that position, you must answer three core realities: that value was delivered, the customer is willing to pay, and the business is working towards sustainability. Those are the three core things that must drive your pricing. When you look at it like that, you do understand that we are in a phase where many of us are just responding to the market as opposed to doing our math. And by the end of this, we will see how math is critical. All right. So now, here are a few key truths. Number one, pricing communicates value. The price you put on it communicates quality, positioning, confidence, expectations, and market perception. So it would be very strange if LG sold the double door fridge for 50,000. You know, the double door is like 200,000. It's 180 hapo juu, depending on the exact size, right? It would be very weird if your mama mboga tells you, or the lady selling vegetables on the street tells you that those 5 tomatoes are 5,000 shillings. We will all be asking, because of market perception. Our expectation of an LG fridge or a Samsung fridge is high-end, high quality, it will be a much higher price. So then if I can't afford the 200,000 for the double door, there are other options of up to even 25,000 depending on the size, right? So then your pricing automatically communicates to your customers. Should I pick this person or not? And very often they use it as a shortcut. It's a way to evaluate. So I went for an event recently, and there was a lady with a shop just down the road selling earrings that look exactly like everybody else's earrings. Only difference is her earrings are 500 shillings a pair, whereas downtown I can get them at 150. But what's the difference with her earrings? They're hypoallergenic. So then I will pay more for hypoallergenic than for just regular metal because of reactions after a time of wearing. So that's what your pricing communicates. So if she took her hypoallergenic and made them the price of everybody else, then she may increase her sales, but there is a place where she's making money, making losses, sorry, because of the pricing. So a very low price can cause doubt. A premium price creates expectations. But remember, you are giving value. So even as you create expectations by your premium price, please deliver value. Now, neither of these two options is wrong. It just depends on that your price reflects the value delivered and your market will respond to it. So here's a question for all of us to think about. What story does your current pricing tell? What story does your current pricing tell? Just for you to think about. Okay? So the other thing about pricing is you must know your costs before you price. Before setting your price, understand your direct costs. Now, if you're doing product, let's say you're making cookies, you have to understand the cost of all your ingredients, the cost of your packaging, the cost of your electricity if you're baking electricity, or your gas if you're baking gas, and then your labor. All those are direct costs because if you are not there to bake, those cookies cannot be done. All right. Then what are your operational costs? This will be your transport costs. This would be your airtime, your communication costs. What are the things that help you keep this business rolling and flowing? And then what are your marketing costs? You put up that ad on whichever social site you put it up on, you spend time getting the graphics down that you said you shared on your status. If it's just your status, what are those costs? And then what are your delivery costs? So the delivery cost I talked about is getting the ingredients to you. The delivery cost listed here is getting the finished product to the customer. And then what does it cost you to run the business and how much time did you put in it? So in time investment, there you could now use that to calculate your labor cost, or you could have pre-calculated and put in your direct costs. You cannot price if you do not know what your costs are. All right. And many of us, when we're costing something, we usually look at direct cost and forget that each of these have an element in it. So let's pick marketing. Let's say we did a poster that we're going to run. It's a generic poster that tells people what we do, so we can run it over the next 3 months. And every week we are looking to make to sell. Let's say we're selling cakes. We're looking to sell 4 cakes a week. So over 3 months, how many cakes is that? 12 times 4, that is 48. And let's say our flyer costs us 1,000. So the cost per unit for the marketing cost that you will apply to your product will be 1,000 divided by 48, which is 21 shillings per cake. So when you look at your costs, have you completely included all the elements of costs in the price you're doing? Now, many of us by the end of this will be like, yeah, because without this information, you are selling at a loss. It's very easy to sell at a loss. So be clear that revenue is not profit, it is just revenue. Sales are not a sustainability. What we must ensure is that all costs are covered. We have profit at a price point that our target audience will buy consistently. So you see how all these things come into impact what our pricing is. All right. The other thing we do is we must not compete on price. Competing on price, you are at the bottom of the barrel. It creates a race to the bottom. So today you sell at 20K, I come at 18. You drop down to 16, I come at 12. You drop down to 10. One of us is going to end up with a major loss. All right. Instead of trying to compete on price is important, but it's not the only factor. Instead of trying to compete just on price, how about compete on service, experience, convenience, quality, the customer experience, or the relationships you build, and the better outcome. So maybe we're both selling soap and my soap gets cleaner with less. That's it, both experience and outcomes, because then I can save. So what you're looking to do is I would be looking to multiply the number of people I sell to, because since they use less and get more lather, then their purchases, their purchasing cycles are longer, right? But we're not competing on prices. Think about that thing that you will go and have done. For instance, my nail lady, price is the same. However, the service I get, she comes to where I am at my convenience, and I don't need to have anything. She comes with everything fully loaded. So I no longer have to go and sit in salons waiting for people. Somebody came and their service has taken longer. If she's running late, she's like, hi, I'm running late. I should be there maybe half an hour late. I can continue with what I'm doing as I wait for her. So we compete on other things. Let's compete on other things, not just price. All right? Certain sectors, you find that everybody charges the same amount. How are you able to deliver better value within that? Many of us as coaches, the maximum we charge is 10K per session. But some of us, like those of us who are in the SME sector, we charge less. So how do we ensure that we get the best value even with the price we are giving? It means that we probably need to work with multiple clients or get embedded in consistent projects, so that then we're able to deliver this value. So customers don't always buy the cheapest option. So don't assume that because yours is the cheapest option, they will always come. They go to the option that they believe delivers the best value. So then, are you delivering the best value? Remember, the client is loyal to their coin and their experience more than they are loyal to you. So those are the things you must be thinking about. All right. So what makes your business worth choosing beyond price? When we go into the event industry, there are people who we select not because they have the cheapest price, but we know they have the best value. We have a chef who cooks for us when we have events, and it is seamless. He does not have many madoidos. He doesn't ask you to buy things that he will not use. There is no waste with him. And he comes in and you tell him, I want chapatis for so many people, I want mandazis and I want samosas, and then this is the menu. Lunch needs to be ready at, and usually he comes alone. And by the time you want to serve lunch, your food is ready. So that he's doing the other things later, all right? So what value do you give, or what worth do you give to your customers that competing on price is taken out of the equation? And because that's important, because value is different to different people. Some people, the value they want is price. Others want convenience. Others, quality, speed, reliability, expertise, trust. And I think we can also name other things that people would want to receive. So when you are only competing on price, what you are actually doing to yourself is you are limiting your capacity to provide value to the end customer. Again, sometimes your level of experience does not allow you to charge what everyone else charges, because you will deliver a higher quality and greater expertise. So just because everybody in your industry is charging 5K and you have a high level of expertise, you should be able to, through value-driven pricing, charge more. All right. That's why we said we must know our costs and then we must deliver value. So value is determined by the customer, not the business owner. So you have to go back and understand their priorities, which will then help you position and price effectively. So if I'm making entry-level crochet and I'm just at the learning curve, and then there's somebody who's been doing it for 10 years with excellence, we are not on the same level. Therefore, we will not price the same way. Okay? So just let's think about it like that. Value is different to each person. And then we must review our pricing regularly. Many of us are scared to review prices, but We consistently experience changes in costs, market conditions, customer needs, competition, quality, and we cannot maintain the same price. There's a restaurant we like to go to, and we like them because of their buffet option. And we had an event with them in April, and then we had another event with them this weekend, and the pricing is has completely changed. We used to be able to go there and for about 1,700, actually 1,650, have a full meal with a nice juice. Now it is 1950 because they reorganized the menu, took out the drink. They may have expanded, but they expanded it with low tier additives. So they've added more rice, they've added, a few more. They've added actually a lot more on the starches to expand the menu. All right. So what does that mean? Now, when we go, we are now looking to spend 2K per person. It affects our capacity to keep our costs lower, but for the quality and the quantity of food, we continue to go there. But why did they reorganize their prices? Because of the increase of fuel costs and the increase of everything else. They had to find a way to continue to make their money. All right. So if they are reviewing their prices, why aren't we reviewing ours? But remember, we are not reviewing things based on feeling and emotion. We're using data. How has the market changed? How have our costs changed? What are our customers asking? They want bigger ones. Oh my goodness. Do you guys remember the Nuvita biscuit conversation? Okay, maybe if you work with young people, you would know. So Nuvita has a small pack of biscuits. There are 5 biscuits. And the price went up, but the quality of the biscuits and the size went down. So young people went online, complain, complain, complain. So they brought another pack that said bigger biscuits, but the bigger biscuit is slightly thinner. So then we are sitting, we're saying, oh, they have improved. They have not improved. They have just reorganized us and our need for their cost-effective biscuits, but they're adjusting to market conditions. So if they would, at a large-scale manufacturer is adjusting to market conditions, who are we, smaller scale businesses, not to do the same? So the goal is not frequent price increases. The goal is ensuring that the pricing remains aligned with the value and your ability to stay sustainable. Many of us, when we reduce costs, we are then offering a lower quality product, so we are likely to lose customers. I know some organizations in the times what they did is they reorganized the number of different packaging sizes they had. So you reduce, if you had 4 options, you reduce down to your best 2, the highest selling 2. So you review your pricing, you review your product availability, you make those adjustments, and then you communicate it to your customer. If we are together, please put a PP in the chat, which means profitable pricing. All right. If we are together, still together, as I take a sip of my tea, we're going to talk about pricing tiers. Don't worry, in introduction. All right. Excellent. I can see tuko pamoja. That is a very good thing. Thank you, everybody. So we talked about value-based pricing because we're pricing according to the value we deliver. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Then we'll go into models. Why must we make profit? You see, passion starts the business, profit sustains it. So we have to make profit to move beyond passion. Again, our financial health is based on good pricing. So is our business healthy financially? No, check your pricing. All right. Perception of value. Pricing influences how customers see us and the value we deliver and the quality. So we have to, and I have put why profit because we must make profit. We are in business to make profit. So when you do all your math, is there a place that you actually make profit? Because if you're just breaking even, you're not in business. We're here to make profit. Sustainability, of course, we've talked about it. Healthy profits help us grow, allow us to keep operating, allow us to do research so that we can continue meeting our customer needs. Profit also helps us make better decisions. Do you remember how you felt that day when you realized See, I made on top of all my expenses after they were paid, I made 150 Gs that is sitting in the bank. We needed to do XYZ, not in the bank, probably in shares. We needed to focus on this so we can draw from there and use that to do this research and grow the business. It's a way when you know you're in profit, you are able to sell better. Your pricing provides that strong foundation for decision making. We can say we need to generate X hundreds of thousands based on our sales and our profit margin of Y. It will take us 6 months to do it. So you know that the day you'll implement this thing is 6 months for now, ceteris paribus. All factors remaining constant, right? The same way it allows you to forecast for growth, it also makes you resilient because strong margins help navigate challenging situations and conditions. Let's say I've discovered people do 60% margins. So let's say a margin is 50 or 60%, and then there is a price hike. You won't have to immediately raise your costs because you have a margin, you have a buffer. All right. And really having calculated the desired profit helps you do, it helps you competitively position because pricing determines how people view you in your market. So when you understand those things, then you go ahead and you identify your value by asking yourselves these questions. What problems do you solve for the customer? Because when you talk to your customer, you're not talking about the features of your product, you're talking about the value you have given them, the outcomes they will experience. So, for instance, why do you show up here every Tuesday? Can one person tell me why we all show up every Tuesday? Before I tell you why I think you show up. Simuniambia to one person, let me see. One. You show up to learn, all right? So imagine if you began showing up and there was no learning. So you want to grow your business. Excellent. So this is the space that helps you fill the knowledge gap. And that's exactly what we set out to do. We're in the knowledge industry. We help you bridge the gap. Now, many of us will understand that when you come here, you are not necessarily learning a brand new thing. You are finding a practical way to apply that thing. So, what we are solving is the knowledge gap. All right. And then our unique expertise is to break it down and make it actionable and easily applicable. That's it. So then how do you make their lives easier? You answer that question. What emotional and strategic benefits do you provide, and what sets you apart from the competition? When you identify the value, and this is not from your lens, it is from the lens of your customer. So when you see us coming to you, sidebar or side quest, as I'm being told by my Gen Zs to say, when I'm coming to you side quest, it's not because I am being funny. I'm just looking to see, are your needs met? What is the value you're pursuing? When our M&E support system reaches out to you, you know that's what we're looking for. Why? Because we live from the position of being value based. All right. So there are a couple types of value, tangible and intangible. The regular tangibles we know, specific services provided, right? Specific products provided, time saved, cost savings, number of people reached. Intangible value is where sometimes it is less measurable, but it is absolutely highly impactful. For instance, when they think about your product, what feeling do you generate in them? All right. Is it peace of mind, reduce stress? Do you increase or enhance their reputation and make them confident because they look better, they feel better? Is it expertise and guidance? Is it opportunities? Is it measurable and memorable experiences? You're looking to figure out what is that feel good thing that you give to your customers. Because when you understand it, you're able to price. And when we price in terms of value, it has to cover both the tangibles and the intangibles. But you will not know how to price those ones if you do not know what value you provide. So when we're talking about the value-based model, we're saying you price your services primarily based on the perceived value and benefits your client receives, not solely on your costs. So you have done your math, of course, so you know the minimum, absolute minimum you can take is X. But let's say that you're saving your customer 10 hours a week, right? You can actually charge a little bit more. You're ensuring, like when you look at, let me use supermarkets as an example. We all buy Pink Lady apples. You know you can get Pink Lady apples on the street, right? But the street price is lower because it's a slightly either smaller product or slightly damaged. But if you go to places like Food Plus, Beyond Fruits, they have a much bigger Pink Lady apple. I think even Carrefour has a much bigger Pink Lady apple at a higher price point. Why? Because when I enter those places, it's premium shopping. They have things that maybe other supermarkets don't have. It's premium location. So I am paying for the convenience of it being a higher quality fruit, better version than the one I get on the street. All right. So when we say client focus, you're aligning your price to what your client values and is willing to pay for. That's why it's value based. What do I value? What am I willing to pay for? There were days when the only place you could get fruit on the street was outside the big hospital. Now, on the street, as you're walking towards most of the major bus stops, you find apples, you occasionally find grapes, sometimes you find strawberries. Why? This is the slightly bruised product that is retailing at a lower price point. So, depending on where you want and what your value is perceived, that is where you'll go and shop. So then you figure out your value proposition. So, what are the unique benefits your product or service offers your attendees, your clients, your communities, right? It could be any of those and many more. And how does your solution address or solve their problem or meet their needs? So, in this example that I've just given of the different costings of the different qualities of fruit, right? If you go to further down, even to Marikiti, just outside Marikiti in the evening, Marikiti is our main supermarket. It's called Wakulima Market, the farmers market. It opens at 4:30 or even 3 a.m. and it closes by noon. And then the small traders who have bought from there come to the street and sell. Now there is just near KPCU, Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, I think. Just near KPCU, there are a couple of people with tables, and they sell the fruit that is profitable that day. Very often, they're doing long melon slices and pineapple slices. What are they doing? They're ensuring that somebody who would not be able to carry the full melon today can carry a slice for 10 bob, refresh themselves, and continue. And these guys just have a board or it's a flat top and they chop and people just come picking, paying, pick, pay, pick, pay. All right. What they have done is they have understood that the need down here is energy as we keep walking down as we go to Eastlands, right? So then this is pockets of refreshment. That is the same thing you find the cake vendors around the same area do. They buy big blocks of cakes, cut them into slices for 20 shillings, 30 shillings. Same things the smoky guys, the smoky carts do. They have realized that that population over there want a quick snack as they're standing in the line waiting for their transport. So you can do anything. You can get viazi karai, you can get smokies, you can get kebabs. There's so much you can get because they have figured out this is where our target market wants. Another example in there, if you look at the guys who sell maize, there is 10 bob, 20 bob, 30 bob, 40 bob, 50 bob is a whole cob. So you pick what your pocket can afford. That's value-based pricing. Because if you've also used the same thing, and I've already covered this, you've organized your clients, you've applied them to a certain measure, you have weighed them and decided these are the ones I want. Another interesting example is when you go to all these bus stations and you see how they sell. They're the guys at the front who are selling sweaters for 50 bob, and the 50 bobs are in another very, very worn out pile. Then there's 100, there's 200, there's 600 hanging up. So you choose what it is you want. And what they have done, they've segmented their clients as they pass. So over and above the vendors of thrift, you have the vendors of brand new in the same place. So if you want cost-effective vests, shorts, things like that, you need to know which vendor to go to. What have they done? They have mapped the pain points of the customers in that particular locality. They have understood their goal is to look good at a low price point, and so their product addresses that issue. So for you where you are, what issue are you addressing and how well are you addressing it? So you see how your where you are and who your customer is determines your value. And of course, we pay for what we perceive value. So the metrics we're looking at is really we're looking at return on investment, attendee or customer satisfaction, lead generation, weekly sales, referrals. We're looking to meet our metrics. But what is our metric? When we go out to determine what our targets are, what are the things we're looking at? We're looking at how much money we need to make. So business owner, if you're just doing business for yourself, you need to have tracked what your monthly running costs are. You need to know on a monthly, I run this for the business, I run this for the home. And then based on the price of your product, you will get your targets. So let me give an example. Let's say my monthly running cost is 250,000 and my average product cost is 2,500, right? What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sell at least 100 products a month. But if my running costs are 250,000 and my product cost is 5,000, right? If my product cost is 5,000, I just need to sell 50 pieces. So then I know this is roughly what I want to pay, what I want to make per product. And then I come back and I look at my customers because I'm looking at my return on investment. Of course, by the time I've done that 250,000, I have done all my costings across the business, including my salary, including my data, my airtime, and that for my whole team. So then what are we doing then to sell the 50 products we need to make? And this is break even. So if I need to be in profit, remember we said we're in profit, I need to sell at least 51 pieces. Why understanding your client is so important because their capacity to consistently buy will fuel your sustainability. So here, that's why I've just done that basic math because you determine your minimum and your maximum prices and that your clients are willing to pay. And then you match it to your value proposition because it's what they're willing to pay when you match your value proposition. And then you calculate your price range based on your value metrics. What do they feel is valuable to them? Because that is what makes them go into their pocket, open their wallet, open their phone, and pay by M-Pesa. So really, there are a couple of ways you can do it, and this is what tiered pricing. You create a basic price, which is just standard access and materials. You do a premium, which opens people up to exclusivity, which is higher. And then you could have a VIP or a high-end product. Like VIP is above premium. What you're looking to do is to create pricing options that reflect different levels of value. So there are people in our ecosystem who are willing to spend 1,000 bob. We may not quite have a product for them. But we have our traction lab that's about 1,500 usually. We sometimes discount it. So we have that as a basic pricing. But we also have full 6 to 12 month coaching products that are our VIP experience because you have access to us on a one-on-one basis through a certain number of months based on the price point you take. I think we should put those up. We will put those up soon, right? So what we've done, we've allowed free access, which is this Tuesday webinar. But then now there are other tiered things. The Traction Lab will be at the end of this month, which is how we put everything together for what we've learned in that quarter. Then we have coaching services, which is a one-off, and then we have coaching plans. Now you get a better price when you take the bulk product because of frequency, you earn yourself a discount. So you create tiers. What are the different levels that your communities need, and how do you meet them? It is okay to have a free product and a high-end product, because what you will now do with those to get your right income is to figure out from the freeze we need to convert. We need to sell minimum 50 products, but that's our let's call that our basic product. Let's say our VIP product is 55,000. We say that every month, if we sell two, we are at 110,000, and then we leave the balance amount to the 5,000 package. That also allows you to test who is actually buying from you more. That's why pricing is important. All right. So we have a few models that we want to look at, and I'll rush through this because I can see time is running. It's not with me. So we can do fixed fixed price or project based. So this is a flat fee for the entire project, and it's simple, especially when you're doing service products. Let's say you're a consultant, you're looking through a project, and you give them a flat rate. This is when your parameters are tight and they're unlikely to change. It works very well for event planners, right? Or you do percentage based. I did this a lot when I was in the events industry. I would say our cost is, let's say we're doing a 6-month, we would be doing a 6-month project with ticket sales in the process. We'll be working with the agency that will be running the comms, and we'll be backing all the suppliers. So the 6 months used to be like 1.2 million spread across the 6 months, or 16% of the budget, whichever is higher. Now, in the event industry, when the budget goes higher, the amount of work increases. So therefore, what you compensate me must go up. Now, with that in hand, for weddings, we had a different pricing scale. We did 16% of the budget, minimum of, I think, 100,000. All right. Now, if a bride comes and tells me she's got 40K for 8 months, I'm not touching it, because that's 5K a month and you want me to run your costs. So percentage based, depending on the industry you're in, this works for a lot of project based stuff, right? If you're running an event, cost per person or per attendee. So let's say you're running a conference and you have venue, you have all the stuff that goes in, light, sound, and take it and divide it by the cost of your delegates. So back to my event days. The event budget would be something like, let me tell you what it used to be by calculating reverse. Because I remember our average cost per, okay, it was about 7.8 million, right? But we'll be having 700 guests. Why is it 7.8? 5-star hotel, the setup, the band, the screens, everything, right? So what did we learn to do? We'll introduce dividing that cost by the number of intended guests. So we want 700 people at the event, and the event is costing us 7 million, 7.8 million. The least we can charge is 11,200. So ticket price becomes 15K, because 11,200, we're breaking even. So if we want to leave money in the kitty to start the project next year, then you charge something like 15,000. So this helps you because you are able to, even if people just pay the 11,200, you're left biladeni. You have no debt, all right? Some of us, based on the work we do, we have an hourly rate. When you go to see a doctor and he tells you 5,000 per appointment, it's usually either hour or per half hour, how much time he'll spend with you. So it is specific to maybe consulting hours, planning hours, and it's really best when you have a defined scope that you're coming in, you give us 10 hours a week, and these are your deliverables, all right? The other thing you do is tiered pricing. So you offer different levels: gold, silver, bronze, basic, premium, VIP that I've talked at length that I don't think I need to speak to it. The other one where you can sometimes get really good stuff is when you do custom pricing. So you come to us as an organization, you want us to train. Our first question will be, what are the needs? So then we will do a need analysis, and then based on what we find out, we will build a product or a training module that suits your people in that thing. So it is tailored for unique, complex projects, events, activations, or even trainings, because you cannot always use the same. The base curriculum will be the same. Modules, workbooks will shift and change based on the people you have in the room. So that when you do a custom quote, a custom calculation. And for most of us in the pricing, in the product sector, I call it straight line. It's your direct cost plus your indirect cost and your predetermined value. So let's say it costs me 3 shillings to buy the packaging, 50 shillings to produce that 300 gram of 100 gram of body butter, and then the label is another 1 shilling. So those are all my direct costs. Then indirect costs would be the things I travel, communication, all those things. And then plus my predetermined margin. Now, Kenyans, if you're a consultant, KRA knows that you make a 40% margin. If you declare a lower margin, then they will come and look at your books carefully. So what is the estimate margin in your industry? What is your predetermined margin? You need to have a predetermined margin. Our recommendation at AMC is usually at 20 to 35%. Why? I used to function as Chesubri at 10%. Those margins are razor thin. If anything goes wrong, you make a loss. There are industries where you can actually do up to 50%. So find out what your industry standard is. All right. So now let's look at a couple of things. So let's do some cost-based pricing. So who sells a product? So you look at the cost of your materials or the cost of your stock. So let's say I'm running a mini mart. I don't have a production cost, so I don't have cost of materials, but I buy my stock at X and I sell at Y. So I have to know what the cost of my stock is. In the mini mart, packaging will be those bags, but now here in Kenya, we don't give bags anymore. I remember Nuchumi used to give us bags free. But packaging now is also a cost. So how much does it cost for me to buy those 4 sizes of bags for people? What did it cost to have that stuff delivered to me? What does it cost to have my stuff on the shop floor? And then there is electricity, there is water, there is food for my people, right? So if I'm making a product, if I have to ensure that my margins, unfortunately for the supermarket, my retail price is controlled. How do I ensure that my purchase price is low enough for me to cover these other overheads? If I'm making the product, I need to itemize everything that goes into that individual product and then add my desired margin. Remember, I've said we need to, in advance, figure out what the margin is going to be. How does that help? It helps us project that we can generate so much money. And remember, profit is for expansion. It's not for you to go on holiday. Your holiday money comes from your salary. I know some of you will not like me for saying that. We need to put ourselves on a salary. We need to at least draw something from the business so that then we are not dipping into the kitty all the time. It is important that we have a clearly identified, this is the cost of Chisubire in the business. Now, some of us, what we do, the business people see us pushing is not the business that feeds us. Kuna kazi ingine kando, there's another job on the side that feeds us, and that is okay. But when you are able to draw your labor costs as the business owner from somewhere, it slows you down from picking aimlessly from the business. It teaches you discipline. So once you know all your costs, you put them together, direct and indirect, which is what we're calling the total product cost. You add your desired margin, and that is what you're able to sell. So how do you do that? Remember, when you're doing your minimum viable product, you are also testing on pricing. So if at your minimum viable product stage you priced wrongly, Jesus needs to help you. Because now you must go back to what was point 5 of our core tenets and review your prices and adjust them if you must. All right? There's another option for service-based for those of us who are doing hourly rates. So this one, it allows us to do your hourly rate, which is how much you've determined. So how do you determine your hourly rate? I tell people, usually I like to say, look at your last salary or what somebody in the position you are in would be earning. So let's say how many days? Let's say we work 6 days a week. So 6 times 4 is 24 days a month. And then let's say your salary was, let me find a nice number. So let's say people in your sector earn like 100 and let's make that 115,000 a month. Just picking numbers off the top of my head. So you divide that by 24 days, right? Your day rate, this is how much you used to earn per day, was 4,792, right? So that is per day. Your hourly rate, this is where you realize sometimes you shortchange yourselves. We shortchange ourselves, actually. So your hourly rate will be that divided by 8, which is 600 shillings. Now that is very low. So then you come back and you do the math of, remember, you calculated how much you need to earn on a monthly. You come back and you do the math of that divided by the 24 working days. And that gives you a base rate for your hourly rate, right? So then let's say you come back and you actually do your math and you find that your required hourly rate is 4,000 shillings. And then you'll be working 10 hours on that project. And then you will add your other expenses, which is your data, your travel, your food. You will add all that. Okay. So let's say your hourly is 4,000 shillings. You'll work 10 hours, right? That gives us 40,000. And then your other running costs maybe at another 10K, right? So that's 50,000. And your given profit margin is 20. Let's do 26%. So then your profit margin is 13K at 26%. So your billing is 63,000. That's just simply how to straight line calculate some of these things. This is why we said when you're doing your pricing, you must know all your expenses. So your expenses are direct, I should have added there, and indirect costs. But in the service-based place, we have to be so careful about those pricings. So if we're together, please put a YY in the chat. I know I have talked quite a bit. We are just about done. So profit, when you calculate your cost, you must have calculated your profit inside. So that's how we are going back to our customers to see how much they are earning. And then we calculate how we make profit within there. If you find your current customers cannot meet your price point, you are serving the wrong people. And I know that is very rough to say. But yeah, we have found that out ourselves. So another service-based model is your selling price would be equal to your time cost, which you've already helped you figure out how to value your time and expertise, all your business costs, and your desired profit. So these are the costs that you're looking at. So this one, the initial one we discussed was for an individual. Now this is when you're running for your business. We must understand our costs. When you see somebody reorganizing their costs, don't say, hi, they're being funny. As a business owner, you understand that where they are is the costing they're putting out is what they need to keep afloat. So if you're able to keep afloat on less, you can even increase your price and still live on less and have more margin. So let's not judge each other on prices as business owners. So as we wrap this up, I need you to think about which activity has consumed the most of your money and what return did it produce, right? This is now looking at figuring out where your best returns will be coming from. But also, this is what I want you to do today. I want you to review your pricing and ask these four questions. Does it cover costs? Does it reflect value? Does it support growth? And is it still relevant? Some of us might be charging prices, but the industry has reorganized itself. So, yes, people are coming to you, you're doing a lot of work, but because you haven't realized the industry reorganized, you are running like a hamster in a wheel, right? Why is that important? Because we have to understand what our price allows us to deliver. It must allow us to deliver value while building a sustainable business. You see, if businesses that grow sustainably are those that understand the value they produce, they know their numbers intimately, and therefore can price intentionally. So, what we're looking to do is to ensure that our pricing allows our customers to buy from us, yes, but our pricing also allows us to live a decent life and to pay our teams a decent wage. Many of us pride ourselves with paying people kidogo. I remember Joella I used to buy from many years ago, and he said, you pay people peanuts, they become monkeys. So that was simply to tell me as a business owner, you have to decide the caliber of workers you want and then pay them a decent wage. This is a biblical space. This is a kingdom space. A workman is worth his wage. You also are the workman worth your wage, but please let us not be those business owners who eat all the money and stress our teams. I have worked for such business owners. We collect money on 20th, on 25th, hakuna pesa ya mishahara. But their mortgage is paid, their car loan is paid, their rent is paid, they are shopped for their houses. But the teams are hungry. Pricing allows us to be realistic. When your staff member comes and you said, if you help us generate X income, we'll give you a raise, give them that raise. But by the time you're giving them the raise, you must have calculated how moving from 200 to 600 will allow you to pay them X% more. We cannot be the ones who will be known for mistreating our team. So do we have questions before I pass it over to Joe? Apologies, we have run over slightly. Any questions? Well, quite a bit, not slightly. Do we have questions? I hope all of us have something to go to do. What is the one thing you're taking out from the session? What is one takeout? My takeout is to continue refining our product pricing and our products, and we'll be releasing a lot of products by the end of this month. All right. What is one takeout from at least three or four of us? If you want, you can unmute and speak. Refine my pricing. Excellent, excellent. Other feedback? Anyone? I can see that. I can. You've disappeared to where? We'll be reviewing and refining my pricing. Excellent, excellent. Pay myself a salary. Profit is not your money. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. That is something most of us got into business and thought profit is mine to eat. Ni yangu kula. No, 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 no. Profit is the money that you put aside that helps you reorganize. When you suddenly have a bulk order, that some of that money should be sitting in an income generating place, but is easily liquid so that you can go and come back. Remember when you get that contract and you're like, you're borrowing money from everybody. What if you moved every time you made your profit, you moved it into an MMF because it's holding? You'd rather have it making 10% than sitting in your bank making 0.0 something percent because they're giving you 4% per annum, right? So the day you need it, and guys are like, we need to work on this project, you're like, okay, give us 48 hours. As your teams are getting the cost together, you have a place you can access your own money. In fact, now I've just thought about something. So if you have your money in the bank, you're earning 0.33% recurring per month, where you can be putting it elsewhere and be earning 6%, 7%, 15%. All right. So I want to leave it there and invite Joe to come and close for us. He was coming on board and then he disappeared.
I did not disappear. You are still talking. So I did not want my handsome face to be in the way of the pricing conversation. So thank you very much, and for even challenging us not to be like hamsters, running round, 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 round. Does my pricing cover my cost? Does my pricing reflect my value? Does my pricing support growth? Is my pricing still relevant? Thank you for that powerful conversation and the way you've just broken down mathematics into a simple formula that we can all adapt. So what it means for all of us is clarity. Have clarity around what you do, have clarity about your costs, have clarity about your inputs, have clarity about your outcomes. Thank you very much for that. So you've given us a challenge, one thing to think about. My encouragement to all of us is pick one thing, run with it, and run with it well, and then move on to the next. Which one is a low-hanging fruit for you after this conversation that you can start working on tomorrow? So that's my take to you. And you make sure that your pricing will cover your costs, reflect your value, support your growth, and be relevant at all times. Thank you very much, Coach Subiri. Beyond today, we ask you to give us feedback. We thrive in feedback. Allow us to serve you and to serve you better. So give us feedback. The feedback form is there. It allows us to see how best to iterate and what other products to bring on board. Then for those of us who have not yet joined our community or would like to send this to someone you feel will greatly benefit from these conversations. Indeed, they've been life-changing, even for us as an organization, that as we teach and as we pick and as we get feedback from you, we are seeing where to iterate and where to improve and what to bring on board. Remember this, in the circle, we are all leaders. We catalyze the communities that we serve. That we are not afraid to say the talents and skills that God has given you is for you to shine His light in the communities that you are in. So go shine. So if you've not yet joined the circle, kindly do so or share with someone who you feel will benefit from the circle. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today. I know we are organizing for our Traction Lab, and so we shall be able to share with you the details. Aha! We are ready? Fantastic. We had a graduation ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and congratulations. Cohort 2 registration is now open. It will start on July 2nd. 12 weeks virtual. Build your business, build a digital business, an ILO certification. So looking forward to you attending and you being there, or even sharing with someone, working out the logistics of costing, and of course, a bit of some sponsorship from our sponsors. Sponsors are offering sponsorship. Yes. To allow you to be able to come to class, your teams to come to class. And I know for those who graduated cohort one, there's a lot they carried away. Then we are also looking forward to having a meeting on 25th July from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's like a breakfast, not a breakfast, a 10 o'clock tea, not a 10 o'clock tea. But the most important thing is that it will be physical and having conversations with everyone in the room. We'll try and figure out how those who are not in the country can plug in, maybe have a link. I know you might not be able to sit throughout, but you can be able to join the conversations. And we say hello and we all get to chat and talk. On the last Tuesday of this month, we shall be having our quarterly traction lab. Look out for the poster, share it in your communities, and make a point of attending, even as we bring the conversation for this quarter to a close. It's been heavy, it's been loaded, but we've picked up things and we are running. So thank you very much. And thank you for even sharing the links in your communities. We were with Chesubire at Nairobi Startup Summit 2 weeks ago. Hey, it's already 2 weeks. And apparently, there are people who come into the room, they don't talk, but they came to say hello because the classes have been helpful to them. So keep sharing the links and keep inviting your friends. It was good to see them. Allow me to thank our sponsors. AFI Solutions. Okay. Chesubire. Oh, this is ready. Fantastic. Now, Chesubire, you will need to translate for those who are not in Kenya, and I leave that to you. So let me mention it and then you come and do the translation. So we have, based on demand and conversations we've had and the requests you've made, even from the feedback you gave. So we are introducing coaching packages, one-off sessions, 30 to 45 minutes, might extend to 1 hour, 5,000 shillings. And then we have Msingi, which is 6 sessions. That's about 25,200 shillings. Chesubire, what is Msingi? Then there is Dira, 8 sessions, 33,600. And we need to change these figures also into dollars and pounds and rand. Remember, we are also in South Africa now. And then we have Hatua, 12 sessions, 50,400. We shall be sharing them in the community for you to see where to pick, what to run with as you move. This is based on the conversations you've had with us in the feedback, asking us what else can we do if I would like a one-on-one? I would like a touch point, like 6 touch points in the year. I want 12 touch points in the year. I want 8 touch points with you guys in the year. Those are the packages. They are up. Yes, so we'll share this together with the international prizes because we have international clients in the room. So thank you very much. Looking forward to serving you more from a group setting and from a one-on-one touch point conversational point of view.
So to answer your question,
Yes, thank
Msingi
you.
is
Now let me
foundation.
sit back. Mhm.
So Msingi is foundation. So when we have a conversation and we figure out it's so we look at it as a 3 tier, or depending on where you're at, you enter. So Msingi is foundation, which is really the fundamentals, creating stability and building a solid base. And then Dira means either vision or direction. So these are all Swahili words. Dira is really, are we clarifying purpose? Are we, and that usually takes a lot more to do. And finally, Hatua is the roadmap, steps, progress, action. So in there, we are taking decisive action, building momentum, and translating plans into results. That's just it.
Excellent. Thank you. So I think we will put that explanation also in the group as we share the prizes
Yes, we'll put that
about
there.
what each of them mean. And then they
Yes.
could also share with us in the language that they're conversant with, whether it's French, whether
Yes. I like
it's,
that.
in fact, I would love to hear this from
Mm.
Dorothy's point
In
of view,
Afrikaans.
in Afrikaans, how it sounds.
And
Looking
and
forward
then
to that.
also from Onika in
Monica,
what was it?
Botswana,
Setswana. It's called Setswana.
Botswana. I would love to
Mhm.
hear this. And then from West Africa. Interesting.
And then even our
Thank you
local
very much.
languages, Kikuyu, Luya, all of them.
We shall translate all of them. Excellent. Thank you very much. So allow me to say thank you to our sponsors. AFI Solutions, China Publishers, Regroup, Shala Global, the Cube Innovation Hub, Akiko Stories, yes, Haki Innovation Services, SOA Events or Essential Star Events, Conscious Works Consult, Zurich Consulting Business Support Africa. Some of them will be attending the Mentee Circle on July 25th. So looking forward to seeing as many of us as possible. We shall share the details of how the day is going to run and what we're going to be doing. Allow me to say a big thank you to all of you for staying. We do apologize for running slightly above time, but thank you so much for even what you have picked and the lessons that you give us back during feedback that allows us to be able to move onwards. Allow me to thank our operations team, Miss T-Bugs, Mr. Kwe, Miss Wamboi, Miss Felicity, Miss Julia, Miss Mimo, for keeping us in check. Chesubire.
Yes.
Parting shot. Parting short, keep it short.
Don't worry, I will not teach another session. I think that the biggest thing we must understand is our pricing determines our sustainability. So let's price well.
Our pricing determines our sustainability. Let's end well. Figure out a price that allows you to develop value while building a sustainable business. May the Lord bless you as you sow your seed, as you fertilize your ground, as you water the plant, as you put in the work, and as we wait for the harvest and the reward. Have a good evening, have a good morning. You are blessed, and thank you for patronizing our humble virtual stage this evening, this morning, this afternoon. I remain as the original Joe Mukoko, and thank you very much, Coach Chesudoye. Bye, everyone. See you next week on Tuesday.
See you, everyone.
Bye.